Am I the asshole for not sharing my dinner with my diabetic roommate and almost causing him to die? I, 23-year-old male, rent with 3 guys, Ty, Michael, and Simon. Simon has diabetes and he's having a hard time managing it. Here's how the problem started. I'm the last to get home. I arrive at 8 when the guys are already all home. Every time I try to order food from a restaurant, I'd ask the guys if they want to order as well. They say no at first, but once my food arrives, they gather around me in the living room and help themselves to my food. It irked me a lot since it kept happening and I'm too nice to tell them off. Days ago, I came home to Simon sitting on the couch. Before I ordered food, I again asked if he wanted some and he said no. This time, to avoid having to share my food, I decided to go eat in my room once the food arrived. Not gonna lie, I got some looks from Simon, but I thought nothing of it. It's your food, fuck Simon. I went to bed at 11 p.m. and at around 2 a.m. I woke up to loud knocking on my door. I then opened the door and Ty yelled in saying that Simon just had a hypoglycemic episode and Michael drove him to the hospital after I refused to share my dinner with him earlier. From what I understand, he didn't eat for hours and was counting on eating dinner with me, but I took the food to my room and didn't give him any. Ty and I started arguing after he called me a selfish fuck for hiding/withholding food and letting Simon go through this knowing he's diabetic and can't stay without food for long periods of time. He thanked God that they recognized his symptoms and took him to the hospital early. I said I already asked if Simon wanted to eat and he said no. Ty said Simon said that because he had no money to buy food and was hoping I'd share, but I hid it instead. I said I wasn't obligated to pay for others' food, which set him off on me about how horrible my attitude was over a few dollars, but money is an issue for me. Simon hasn't talked to me, but Michael and Ty kept blaming me and said that they no longer trust me around Simon. Moreover, Michael called Simon's parents. I had an argument with him because of this and he said that I have no excuse for treating a diabetic like that. And I've been feeling incredibly guilty thinking that I might have contributed to this in a way. Am I the a-hole? Sir, there is no possible way that you could be the a-hole in this situation. Everybody and all your roommates are silly as hell. First of all, the food that you buy is for you. You are under no obligation to share that with anyone. It's not your fault that your friend decided to make you his unknowing benefactor when it comes to food, and then when you got tired of being mooched off of, and not just by him but by everybody, he almost died because of it. I'm sorry, they're all manipulative, and if your friend had just spoke up and said he didn't have money or that he was hungry, I'm pretty sure you would have gave him some food. Instead, he sat there and almost died simply because he didn't tell you what was going on with him. None of these people should expect you to read minds, and if a grown man in his 20s can't say I'm hungry or I need help or I need some food to his roommate who he's been living with, that's a him problem, not a you problem. You don't by default become everyone's food source, and it's hilarious these people are all mad at you like it was your sole responsibility to keep this person alive or to feed everyone. None of that was what happened. You are not the a-hole, they are. It's unfortunate what happened to your friend, but he did that to himself, not you. Hit that follow button and subscribe to the Church Joe Stone podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and check out our subreddit. The links are in the bio. I am Joe Stone. Blah. Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my husband and his family's meals at a restaurant after they tried to stiff me with the bill? To begin, my husband and I don't share finances. It's been like this for the 3 years of our marriage, and so far we've been doing well. Though he'd sometimes try to get me to pay for him, but I do it only when I want to do a nice thing for him. Say invite him to a restaurant. This past week he got a bonus at work. He was overjoyed. He informed his entire family and planned for them to go out and celebrate with us. He picked a restaurant, meals, drinks, etc. I naturally thought he was going to pay for all of that since it's his happy celebration. But it turns out I was wrong, because when it was time to pay the bill, he told me to take care of it. I said, why? It's his celebration, not mine, but he insisted I pay and he'll explain later. I refused and demanded an explanation. He said that while yes, he is the one who got the bonus, he assumed I'd want to celebrate that and offer to cover the bill. When I talked to him about how ridiculous it was of him to assume I'd pay for not just his, but his family's meals, he said that I should be happy for him instead of being visibly bitter. He then said that he's yet to receive his bonus and begged that I take care of the bill now and that he might consider paying me back later. I refused and only paid for what I consumed. Him and the family started talking about how inappropriate I was acting. I took my purse and went home afterwards because there was so much commotion when they started arguing about who was going to cover the bill. His mom spam called me for hours, and he went off on me at home saying I spoiled his celebration and joy because I'm feeling bitter, especially considering I had enough money to cover the bill right there and then. I said this wasn't my obligation and he was the one who came up with the celebration idea. He argued that if the roles were reversed and I got a bonus, he'd celebrate me and my achievements and pay for the damn meals after taking me and my family out. I casually said, well, that's you, not me. Facts. He got even more pissed and said that he had it with my juvenile antics and that he won't ever forget the scene I made at the restaurant in front of his family, and he's been upset with me for days now. Am I the a-hole? Ma'am, this man invited you and everybody else to this celebration. Why are you the only guest that was required to pay? Because you are a guest as well. It's not like you planned it with him. He got the bonus. He called everybody. He invited everybody. He picked out everything. This was his whole plan, and apparently he wanted you to pay for it. And I think you did a great job standing up for yourself and simply telling him no. By his logic, you can set up parties and celebrations as often as you want and just expect him to pay for it magically without any type of conversation or agreement beforehand. You deserve better, and I do not understand what type of mother he has that would co-sign him doing something so foolish. This is a grown man, not a child, but he sure does sound like he thinks like one. So no, you are not the a-hole, and don't let them finesse you into thinking that you are. Every adult, regardless of who invited you where, should be able, if you go out somewhere, to pay for their own meal, because you never know what might happen, and people are silly as hell like this. So joke's on them. Hit that follow button and subscribe to the Church of Joe Stone podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and check out our subreddit. The links are in the bio. I am Joe Stone. Bow. Am I the asshole for banning all the males in my family from my wedding after this terrible prank they pulled on my fiance? I, a 22-year-old female, grew up in a family where men prank and tease each other. Ever since my fiance, Tim, a 23-year-old male, and I got engaged, my cousin, brother, dad, and uncle joked about running some tests to see what type of man Tim is. They've done stuff like forcing him to play chess 4 times in the rain, secretly slashed his tires to see if he'd fix it himself like a man or get help like those lazy guys. They'd ask him questions like what joke he'd like to tell his future mother-in-law, his opinions on abortion, Jesus, gender equality, etc. They also tested his fishing and hunting skills, overwhelmed him with hypothetical scenarios to test his decision-making abilities / mental strength. They kept calling him slow and soft, but he has a medical condition, asthma, but they think he's just making excuses. I demanded they stop, but Dad said that this is just typical stuff men challenge each other with and said that I was just ruining the fun. Last week, they took Tim on a 3-day trip and hid his inhaler. He left him and returned in 7 hours and told me. I was seething after he said they admitted to hiding it as a challenge. I exploded on them when they returned. My cousin asked if little Timmy ran to me to tattle. I yelled back that all 4 of them are uninvited to my wedding. My brother freaked out saying it was a prank and they were going to give it back. Dad said they'll apologize if I insist, but Tim will have lost a little respect they had gained from him and in their eyes will always be the soft college kid who's not up for the challenge. I called him and the others awful, then I left. My cousin is begging that we talk. My uncle has been quiet, but my dad is so mad that now he's getting my mom involved to get me to reconsider his decision, but I keep refusing to re-invite them. My mom is saying I'm exaggerating and should let bygones be bygones and not let this ruin my relationship with my family, but I'm not so sure. Am I the asshole for making this my hill to die on, or am I exaggerating? I'm gonna be honest with you. I am torn on this because, to be honest, the man that you have picked sounds like he is a bit of a loser. I don't care about you being able to hunt. I don't care about you being able to fish. I don't care about you having asthma. I do care about you having the balls to stand up for yourself. Your fiance is marrying you. He has no business trying to prove himself to a bunch of men that don't own you. He doesn't have to win your father's approval. It would be nice, but it is not required. And he damn sure shouldn't be risking his life or bending over backwards for a bunch of people who do not like him and have only disrespected him. Now, what they did was disrespectful, has been disrespectful, should have been stopped a long time ago, but you are not the one that was supposed to stop it. Your fiance was. But getting back on topic, because I'm off topic, are you the a-hole from banning them from the wedding and dying on this hill? But that's only a question that you can answer. What they did as far as taking this inhaler was way over the line. That is a grown-ass man with a medical condition. Anything could have happened and he could have possibly died simply because they were being silly as hell. And even if you are going to forgive them, you better make sure they stop this behavior. But no, you are not the a-hole. They definitely are. Hit that follow button and subscribe to the Church of Joe Stone podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and check out our subreddit. The links are in the bio. Bah! Am I the asshole for calling my white mother-in-law a bitch? I, a 32-year-old female, black, am married to my husband, a 34-year-old male, white. We've been married for 6 years. My mother-in-law, let's call her Lisa, has always made sly comments about me that I've tried to ignore over the years. At one point, she called my hair nappy and suggested I relax it, which I shut down immediately. At one point, she made a comment about an Asian cashier's eyes and justified it by saying my daughter-in-law is black. How can I be racist? When I was pregnant, she kept mentioning how she wanted our daughter to have my husband's blue eyes. When my daughter was born, she had brown eyes. Lisa did not even try to hide her disappointment. My son was born with hazel eyes and his hair was also tighter than his sister's, and she made a slight comment saying you can't have the best of everything, insinuating that my daughter was blessed to have lighter skin and looser hair and my son was blessed to have pretty eyes. I brought up my concerns with my husband and he just brushed it over and told me that she's a product of her time. A week ago, my husband and I were holding a party to celebrate our 6-year anniversary, and naturally Lisa was invited. She asked if she could invite her friends, and I agreed. After all, it would have been a bit boring for a 56-year-old woman to engage in conversations with a bunch of 30-something-year-olds. Anyways, when her friend showed up, she introduced me as her black daughter-in-law, which made me uncomfortable, so I pulled her to the side and told her I didn't want to be addressed as such. She shrugged me off and said, "You're my daughter-in-law and you're black. You people are so sensitive." In that moment, all the pent-up anger I had towards her came flowing out. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember calling her a racist bitch. She walked away from me and went into my kitchen and started to cry. Naturally, everyone went to see what all the commotion was about. She told them I was an evil woman who was trying to ruin her relationship with her son and grandchildren and told them that I called her a racist bitch. Everyone at the party became very hostile towards me and told me I went too far. That night, my husband and I got into a huge fight, and he told me I needed to apologize to his mother when I told him I would never apologize to her unless I received an apology. He lashed out at me and went to stay at his mom's house. Am I the a-hole? I'm not even one of those guys that say shit like sister, but look, you are not in the wrong here. Do not let them white people gaslight you into believing that you are. I'm gonna be honest, I have always never cared about interracial relationships. Swear to God, never gave a damn. Don't care who you date, don't care about their sex, don't care about their gender, don't care about their color. Love who you wanna love, don't care. But I'm gonna be honest, I've read a ton of these stories, and every time I read these stories about interracial relationships, they are depressing. Y'all be in relationships with people that y'all be with people that don't give a damn about the hostile and disrespectful environments they put you in. And they always choose their family over your feelings. And this is another example. This man knows his mama is racist and is trying to make you seem like you're the bad guy when he has 2 black children who you were trying to protect from their ridiculous grandmother. Everyone that is trying to convince you that you were not is the a-hole. And I hope that this relationship is not as toxic as it sounds, because you deserve to be supported. No, you were not the a-hole, and I'm so sorry this happened to you. Hit that follow button and subscribe to the Church of Joe Stone podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and check out our subreddit. The links are in the bio. I am Joe Stone. Bah! Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend that his daughter cannot come over to our new house until I feel like I know her? I'm a 26-year-old female and my significant other, a 32-year-old male, and I have been together for 5 years, and he has 2 children with his ex, Anna, a 31-year-old female. They have Leo, an 8-year-old male, and Leah, a 14-year-old female, together. Me and my boyfriend decided to wait until we were dating for 1 year for me to meet his children. We met up for lunch at a local restaurant, and while Leo liked me, Leah didn't speak a word. I assumed she was not ready to warm up to me just yet. After that, we scaled back to brief video calls where she wouldn't say anything. This went on for another 6 months. Then me and my significant other moved in together. Leo came every other week for visits for the first month, and Leah never came. She told her dad that she didn't want to be around me, so she wasn't going to come for visitation. So my significant other did visitation at his sister's house. This worked out okay. It was just awkward because his sister lives 5 minutes away from our old apartment, and the kids live 20 minutes away from us. So it was a lot of driving back and forth. This has been the arrangement for years. The entire time I've been inviting Leah out through my boyfriend with us to get to know her better. We go out at least 4 to 5 times per month and do various activities: parks, museums, zoo, nails, go-karts, restaurants, everything. Leo tags along sometimes, but Leah has never came. March 1st, I closed on my dream apartment. 3 beds, 2.5 baths, a study, a huge balcony. It's gorgeous. We moved in and I'm so excited to start making our home here. I posted a video on social media and Anna seen it and showed Leah. Anna blew up my significant other's phone asking him when he was going to tell Leah that he moved. He did tell Leah and she said, oh, okay. But after Leah saw our new home, she asked my boyfriend when she would be able to come over and decorate our new room. I told him, under no circumstances will Leah be allowed into her new room until she agrees to meet us outside for an outing. I love her because she's my partner's daughter, but I don't know her. I've only ever heard her voice in videos she posts to social media. She has never spoken a word to me. My significant other is incredibly sad because he just wants his daughter to visit him again, but he agrees with me. Anna and Leah obviously disagree, so does my in-laws. Am I the a-hole? Oh, this is easy. Yes, you are the a-hole, and yes, you are the evil stepmother in this situation. Look, you didn't do anything necessarily bad to the girl, but what you are doing right now is horrible. That is her father. Wherever he lives should also be a home of hers. For you to take that away because you guys never built a relationship, which is not all her fault, is ridiculous. Her father is the adult in the situation. Y'all had years to build that relationship, and no 11-year-old gets to decide where they get to go. But now you're going to take it out on her by not letting her come to this new house that she's excited about. Instead of using this opportunity to be a place where you can build a bridge, you're setting the only one you had on fire, because there is no way this little girl is going to like you more after you telling her that. Instead of being petty and childish and punishing her for simply being a hurt girl who had to deal with losing her father to this new woman who is now the star in his life. So yes, you are the a-hole in the situation, not the 14-year-old girl dealing with the fact that her parents aren't together. Hit the follow button and subscribe to the Church of Joe Stone podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and check out our subreddit. The links are in the bio. I am Joe Stone. Bah! Am I the asshole for dropping my sister's kids off at a daycare without her knowing and making her pay for it? I'm a 19-year-old female and my sister, a 25-year-old female, asked me to babysit for her. Her kids are 4 and 6, so she could go to a friend's party. I told her I can't do it that day and I had an exam, so I had to be at college. I can follow some classes online and have occasionally babysat while listening to lectures. Fast forward, the day for which she needed a babysitter came. I answered the door in the morning and the freaking kids were on my doorstep and my sister was driving off. Who does that? She just left them with me after I said I couldn't stay home that day. I called a friend that owns a small daycare. She told me I could drop them off there. Thank God. I gave my sister's contact info to her and told her to keep me updated. And I texted my sister about what happened and gave her the address and the phone number. I picked the kids up from daycare since my sister wasn't answering her phone and fed them. She picked them up around 9-ish p.m. and was absolutely livid that I left them with a stranger, that it was irresponsible and that something could have happened, etc. I told her that she knew I couldn't babysit that day and that she could have picked them up if she was comfortable with that since I texted the address. She told me I should have just reskipped the exam to retake it later. I thought this was a reasonable thing to do. When someone leaves kids on your doorstep without warning and you can't take care of them, but my parents are on her side. My mom told me my sister already has so much on her plate that I should help out when I can. I guess babysitting at least one day a week for free isn't good enough. Am I the a-hole? Nah, look, this one's complicated, but at the end of the day, I don't think most of this is your fault. I don't know if your sister's irresponsible, but she's definitely disrespectful when it comes to your time and how much she values it. Just because you have an emergency in your life does not mean that I have one in mine. And you shouldn't have kids that you are not able to take care of on your own. She was out of line from dropping them kids off, knowing that you had something to do and knowing that you said no, especially when you say yes all the time. Now, where you went wrong is dropping off these kids, even though you knew where you were dropping them off, is dropping off these kids at a stranger's place that the mother did not know about. Like, yes, you sent the address and the contact information, but that's someone's child, not a dog, not a car that you park across the street. You left someone's kids at a stranger's place or a stranger to them, and that's a terrifying thing to think about. She dropped them off with you. Now, again, I'm not saying it's all your fault, but I can't condone that. No, you don't do that. No, you don't do that. Also, you're 19, so you're basically a kid your damn self, and you didn't pick out the best daycare you could find. You picked up the one that would take the damn kids, which may not have been safe. I'm just saying. So, are you the a-hole in this situation? I think you were put in a terrible situation by your sister, and you did the best that you could do, so I'm not gonna call you the a-hole, but please, don't do that again. And if your sister continues to disrespect your time, tell her that you won't be looking after her kids at all. It would be nice if you helped her, but you are not required to, and if she can't take care of her own goddamn kids, that's on her, not you. Hit the follow button and subscribe to the Church of Joe Stone podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and check out our subreddit. The link is in the bio. I am Joe Stone. Bah! Am I the asshole for imposing my culture, even though I was just bringing gifts and thought I was being nice? Even though I am a 23-year-old female American, my parents are immigrants and therefore I have a different cultural upbringing than most. One thing that was hammered into my head from a young age was to always, and I mean always, bring a small gift when visiting anyone's house. It doesn't matter if it's family or friends or that one person you kind of know but you don't really like, bringing something is a must. My boyfriend, the 28-year-old male, and I have been dating for almost 4 years now, and since we both work from home, he suggested we make dinner with his parents a weekly thing since we haven't been able to see each other much for obvious reasons. I love his parents, so obviously I agree. Every week I make sure to bring something small to show my appreciation for them cooking for us. Always using my own money, a small bottle of wine, their favorite dessert, some flowers, etc. And they always thank me for it. This has been going on for a few months and I obviously didn't notice anything out of the ordinary until yesterday when my boyfriend and I were preparing to head over. I'd gotten a cute vase of daffodils since luckily I'd found some in bloom and my boyfriend's mom really loves them. But my boyfriend suddenly got really mad and asked why I kept bringing stuff over every week like his parents were a charity case. I honestly got super confused and asked him what the problem was and that I've always done this with everyone including his friends since we met, that it was a cultural thing, but then he got even madder and told me to stop imposing my culture on everyone and it's weird since I'm white. At that point, I didn't feel like going anywhere with him and just gave him the flowers and went for a walk while he drove over to dinner by himself. After he came home, he still had the flowers which he gave to me and told me he was sorry. But his parents were really upset and annoyed with me constantly bringing stuff over like they can't take care of themselves. And later on, I got a text from his dad asking me not to come over for dinner anymore. Now my boyfriend's giving me the cold shoulder unless I give his parents a huge apology. But I really, truly don't feel like I'm the one in the wrong for trying to be nice to them. Am I the a-hole? First of all, you are not the a-hole in this situation. I don't know what's going on with your boyfriend or his parents, and I don't even know if they got an accurate representation of the conversation that you guys had. I'm pretty sure his parents had no problem with you bringing things over. Maybe he just felt like he wasn't doing enough because he wasn't bringing anything. I would suggest you talk to them. But no, you are not in the wrong, and you are not the a-hole for giving people free presents. What you did was very nice, and it's beautiful that you try to incorporate your culture when meeting people. So no, I wouldn't apologize. If you don't think you did anything wrong, then don't. But honestly, this sounds like a red flag, and either there's something bigger going on here, or your boyfriend is just an idiot, and it's so are his parents. But either way, that doesn't make you the a-hole. They are. Hit that follow button and subscribe to the Church of Joe Stone podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Joe Stone. But am I the asshole for banning my mother-in-law from our house after I found out that she installed a hidden camera in our bedroom? My husband, a 33-year-old male, got in a car accident almost a month ago. He's been bedridden due to a back injury, and I've been his primary caregiver. The pressure from my mother-in-law has been too much. She keeps telling me to take care of him and be there for him constantly. She begged me to take time off from work, and I did. Asked me to send her hourly updates about his condition for the first 2 weeks, but when I wouldn't sometimes, she'd get mad and cause an issue. She visits every day, but never does anything to help. Alternatively, she always lists all the things I should or shouldn't do. The family keeps telling me she's just worried sick for her son, so I try to stay calm. Days ago, she called me to berate me about not replacing the sheets quickly. I had no idea she had found out since my husband didn't call her. But later on, my sister-in-law called me to tell me that her mom installed a camera in the bedroom to see if I was taking proper care of her son. I was stunned. After searching the room, I found the camera. I called my mother-in-law and had a huge fight with her. She admitted it and said she was just feeling concerned and wanted to make sure her son was being cared for, despite him calling her every day. I yelled at her, telling her that she's no longer allowed into my home after this. She lost it and went on a rant about how I'm stopping her from seeing her son, and that not seeing him will literally make her sick herself. The family called me later to get me to back out of this decision, but I told them she breached my privacy and took advantage of the situation. They said I'm taking it too personally and that I can't blame a concerned mother for wanting to make sure her son's fine, especially since she listed things she thought I was doing wrong. I ended the conversation, but my husband is upset, telling me I'm being vindictive and that if his mom can't come, then he'll move with her. We argued, then I went outside, and he's been silent ever since. Am I the a-hole? I don't know. It sounds like this old lady may be a little crazy. Let's just be honest. Now, you have to make a decision if you are going to deal with this, but everybody in this situation has to stop playing like what she did is okay on any level. That is the highest level of disrespecting someone's privacy. The most intimate place in your life is your bedroom, and your mother-in-law violated that and violated the trust that you and your family put in her. You have every right to be offended, and your husband should be too, because not only is it just wacky and wrong, it's probably illegal. You've been harassed by this woman for weeks. And if you don't put your foot down now, Lord knows what she might do next. Everyone is only thinking about her, but you deserve to feel safe in your own home. And when she comes back and forth, you don't know what she might do now. I'm not saying mom has to be banned, but it's obvious she doesn't give a damn about the rules of your household, nor does she respect you or your house. And it seems like your husband doesn't seem to get why this is a real issue. I don't know how you move forward in this situation, especially with your husband not being on your side or seeing things from your position, but I can undoubtedly say that you are not the a-hole in this situation. Hit that follow button and subscribe to the Church of Joe Stone podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I am Joe Stone.